Hi guys, the United States has a number of people in charge at the moment. There's the official president, that being Donald Trump. There's the shadow president, that being the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. And then there's JD Vance. Vance's official role is, of course, the vice president, but seems to act more as a troublemaker, sticking the boot into friend and ally by also sticking his foot in his mouth. During rising tensions with China, what's necessary is a respectful diplomatic effort, something Vance here demonstrates a complete lack of ability in achieving. Have a listen to this.
If you go back a little bit, Lawrence, remember during the first Trump administration, everybody said that Trump's tariffs were going to be inflationary back then. What actually happened? We had 1.5% inflation. We had the fastest growing economy in a generation, and we had the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States of America. Then, of course, we had 4 terrible years of the Biden administration. But I think it's useful for all of us to step back and ask ourselves, what has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on 2 principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America. For 40 years, we have gone down that pathway. We've seen closing factories. We've seen rising inflation. We've seen the cost of housing so high that most Americans can't afford to buy a home right now. President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction. He ran on that, he promised it, and now he's delivering. And yes, this is a big change. I'm not going to shy away from it, but we needed a big change, Lawrence. We cannot keep going down the Joe Biden globalist pathway where we have $2 trillion of peacetime debt and deficits. We have manufacturing disappearing. That is not working for Americans. We've got to take this country in a different direction.
Okay, so I'll repeat the line that has caused a bit of controversy.
We borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture.
This is somebody who's obviously never visited China or knows nothing about China, or he's pretending to be ignorant. I don't know. This is the problem I have with JD Vance. The same was when he was in Europe, insulting Germany, insulting Romania, insulting European allies, insulting the United Kingdom. When he says these things, I don't know if he actually believes them or he's just regurgitating talking points that he hears from the Trump administration. And the goal here is to browbeat people, is to insult people in order to get your way, or to convince them to do something that they don't want to do. But in China, they have probably one of, or if not the greatest public transport system in the world. They have universal health care. They have their problems. Every country has their problems. But the issues that your average Chinese person is facing is nothing compared to the stresses and strains that ordinary Americans are going through. The standard of living of many people in China is much higher on average than it is in the US. So to describe what's happening in China as peasants, borrowing from peasants to buy products made by peasants is beyond insulting. Now, many Chinese commentators have responded, I believe even diplomats from China have responded by making fun of JD Vance, and rightly so, asking him to come to China to have a look at how peasants are operating massive industries in China. There is Foxconn, for example, a massive factory that produces iPhones. It's as big as a small city, a factory as big as a small city. This idea of peasant farmers or peasant production is something from a century ago. Now, maybe he's tapping into this mentality that some people in America have, people who have never left the United States, who have no understanding of anything outside their own state or outside their own county. And they believe, well, China is full of peasants who make iPhones or something. No, it's not like that. Once again, I don't know if JD Vance doesn't understand that, or he's tapping into a sort of racism directed at the Chinese. There is a serious situation ongoing at the moment. What it requires is a diplomatic effort to resolve it. But we're talking about Donald Trump and we're talking about JD Vance here. So I think it's going to be a bit more bull in a china shop than any sort of soft approach to and respectful approach to the Chinese government and the Chinese people.